In today's video, I'm going to talk about how to plan for a Shopify store marketing budget. What are the factors you should consider, how you should calculate your marketing budget. I'm also going to cover the cost per click on the various platforms so you have a better idea on how much should you be spending on or how much should you put aside so you'll be able to see good results. If you don't budget enough, what happens is you will not be able to see any results or any progress at all, and that's basically like throwing money into the drain. So you definitely want to set a good size budget aside and also deciding on the right platforms to market your products, get more people to know about it, get them to come to your store. Hi, I'm Clarice Lin, the ROI doctor who helps small businesses and online stores get on Google and YouTube page 1. What happens is most of the time I notice that many Shopify store owners don't have a clue about marketing, or they are not planning to have any budget at all, which is kind of bizarre to me because it's quite impossible to sell your products if nobody knows about your product. Products don't sell by itself, as we are aware of. I hope we are on the same page. Even if you rent a shop today, let's say you're selling bread, you open your store, you didn't do any marketing, you just get all of this bread, your shop is all set up, you're sitting behind the cashier waiting for customers to walk through the door. Have you ever thought about how would customers know about your products? How would they get excited about your products? How to get the customers through the doorway to come into your store? And what I want to highlight is that most people will come to me and say, what if I don't have a budget? Well, if you don't have a budget, then you probably have to spend more time researching on the different marketing techniques by yourself so you can learn it. However, if you still want to be running ads, you still want to have some kind of marketing ad budget to put aside so you can run those ads. Either way, if you're planning to run ads, you need to have a budget, maybe a smaller budget than if you're hiring someone else to help you. In general, if you want to get traffic, attract online visitors to your Shopify store, you have to consider different platforms and which platforms are most suitable, and how long does it take to see the results, how much does it cost, will it be profitable in the short term and long term for your store? Will you be able to scale up at all and become a successful, profitable store? In the first step of determining your marketing budget, you need to consider the profitability of your marketing campaigns. You want to consider how much would it cost to get one visitor to your store? How much does it cost to create your product? Have you considered the shipping costs and your marketing costs? And how much are you selling it for? And what's your net profit? So these are important criteria to take into consideration. You need to sit down and do your math and do your calculation so you know how much should you be spending on your marketing efforts to be able to see realistic results. Let's say if you spend $1 from a customer from a certain platform, let's say on Facebook, spending $1 per click, going to your website, how many of those clicks would then turn into actual customers who's going to click on that confirm buy button and result in a sale? And that would be the cost per customer. So you want to know how much this customer is going to spend eventually, and then you have to measure that against your cost of everything that you have spent, and then you have to see if that is profitable for you. Otherwise, if it's not profitable, you're not seeing good margins, then it's not sustainable and your business won't be able to grow and scale. One of the biggest mistakes I see Shopify store owners making is that they don't have a clue actually what they're doing. They are setting the store up and then they want to do marketing and then they don't have a budget, or they have some sort of budget but they're not being very realistic about getting those sales. So they could be sitting there trying to run a Facebook ad campaign or running an Instagram ad campaign, and they are not quite sure where this is going. Let me give you an overall picture of how does advertising or how does marketing on digital platforms work in general. Essentially, there are two types of marketing tactics, which is organic and paid. Paid campaigns usually refer to marketing activities that require some kind of additional money put into it. Organic, meaning that it's traffic or marketing assets that you are building up over the long term that's going to help you to get customers at a lower cost that will turn into an eventual sale. And of course, if you are engaging in organic marketing tactics, that's going to take a longer time to see results. It's more of a slower journey, but eventually it's going to get you a lower marketing budget for a higher return in the long run. In the long run, that's what I'm looking at, is about 6 to 12 months, so you have to be slightly patient. Whereas if you're doing paid marketing, yes, you might get traffic immediately to your website, depending on whether you are targeting the right people or the right audiences to your site, whether it's going to turn into a sale. Typically, the organic tactics involve growing a blog, so growing blog audience, so you're going to rank for the keywords when you write those content, ranking on Google search page 1, getting those visitors, clicks to your website. The alternative method is to grow a YouTube channel. You're getting audiences, people interested in your products through your videos. So you need to publish content on a regular basis. You're getting more subscribers, you're getting people to watch your videos, you're getting clicks, and eventually going to your store. And of course, there's the other method of growing social media channels on the different platforms. If you are like a one-man band, you might want to consider focusing on 1 to 2 platforms and growing audience from there. It's a bit of a slower journey compared to if you're running ads. However, eventually, if you're getting real people who are interested in your products, eventually they're going to turn into a sale. If you don't have much of a budget, this is a good middle term to long term tactics that you want to invest and think about. If you can write your own blog post, or if you're recording your own videos and you can grow your own channel. So that's the time invested to grow those marketing assets. If you want to learn how to grow a blog from 0 to 6,000 visitors in 19 months, I have another video right here which you can check out, where I share a case study of how I help a client to do that. So you can check that video out so you can know how to grow a blog. You can also check out my blog for YouTube article on how I help a client grow the YouTube channel from 0 to 2,000 subscribers. So you can also check out the link, which I'm also going to put down in the description and pinned comment. So I'm not going to go into the step-by-step of setting up those channels, but I want to share them with you so you know what are the different organic or free options that is going to help you keep your marketing costs down in the long run. With that thought in mind, I'm going to go on next to explaining the list of different paid platforms or paid marketing tactics that you can do for your store. In terms of paid marketing activities, there are 3 types. In general, I will categorize them. You can collaborate with media companies doing PR. So you pay them for like a sponsored ad, so they can write a blog post, or they can create like maybe a social media post, and then they will bring traffic to your store. Say if you are selling like a swimwear products and you want to engage with maybe swimwear magazines or fashion magazines, so they will have those audience which is going to help you to generate more sale. So that's one way. And of course, you can also seek influencers, identify good influencers who have a good number of following. That's going to help to generate more awareness. So you're actually tapping into their audiences. So if they talk about your products or say how good it is, then you're going to get people to come to your site. Collaborating with those influencers, there are a couple of ways. One is you can send them your products for free, and then they can test out your products, and then they could talk about your products. Of course, if they actually use your products in the first place, so there will be something that will be useful for them, they're excited to receive your products. Otherwise, it's likely that you are going to pay them for them to create some form of content and talk about your product. According to feedback from influencers, they will prefer to receive monetary returns rather than receiving free products, because some of those products is not something that they would see themselves using for a long run. So they would put less effort compared to if someone was getting paid for it. So have a thought about that. And the next part is running ads. So running ads itself, there is 2 parts to running ads. One is running social media ads, which is on the different social media platforms, which means that you will get priority users will see and know about your products if you run ads. And of course, there's also the other part of running search ads, which is like Google search or Bing search. The cost of running ads on search platforms and social media platforms is different. Typically, usually on social media platforms, the cost per click to get the visitors to click on the ad and eventually go to your store is slightly lower compared to running a search ad. And that is also because people who are on Google search, they are usually looking for a solution, so they are more likely to buy. They might have a high intention to buy. Let's say if they type in a keyword that includes asking about how much would it cost, and if they are comparing against other products, so they are more likely to buy. Whereas in comparison, people on social media platforms, they are checking things out. They are in a discovery mode. They want to see what's the latest cool things. So they're not thinking about spending money at that point. They're just thinking they are just checking cool things out and what's happening on the scene on the particular industry that they're interested in. In that scenario, obviously it's going to cost more to get to those audience who are more prepared to fork out their money looking for a solution compared to the audience who are more in a laid-back mode. And for Google itself, there is also this other option of getting your products listed for free on the Google Shopping tab. So Google plays a very important or a big role in most of our daily life. Everyone knows Google. There is also another video I've created on the 5 Google tools you should know about to help you grow your Shopify store. So do check that video out. So if you haven't set up any of those free tools, please watch that video and set up those tools to help your online store get more traffic. And on the topic of Google Shopping, if you haven't set up your products at all on the Google Shopping to get those free listings, there's also another video that I've already created with step-by-step screenshot instructions on how to get your products listed. So I highly recommend you to check that out as well. But if you have that all checked out, kudos to you. So the next step I want to go into is to illustrate to you what is the cost of advertising on the different social media platforms and on Google as well. Running Facebook ad is one of the more popular or well-known option because it has been around for a relatively long time and it's quite a mature platform. The average cost per click for 2021, it ranges between 30 cents to 50 cents per click, getting that customer click after they have seen your ad. And if you are targeting specifically only US audience, then the cost goes up higher. That's about 87 cents to 150. So you can see the price difference. So for there are certain markets or certain location, geographical location, that's going to cost you more compared to other locations. So you want to keep that in mind when thinking about the range average cost per click of 30 cents to 50 cents. There are many different factors that could play a role in determining how much cost it would take. That includes, as I mentioned, location, gender, age group, and also the interest, what other things that is your audience is interested in, and whether you are targeting the ads, running those ads on weekday or weekends. So there are many different areas that you can work on to improve on your ad. Assuming that you have created a good ad design and people click on it and decide to go to your website. What I also recommend you is to put aside a bit of budget to do some testing on your ad to see how effective it is to bring in those clicks. So if it doesn't work, then maybe you could change your ad design or your ad copy so you can get people to click on it. Because it's not just about 30 cents to 50 cents, it's if you are having a successful ad. It depends on how, what is the audience selection, whether you are selecting the right group, whether you are putting the right image or right video in your ad itself to get the click to your website. What I will also recommend is you should put up an email list opt-in pop out on your website. So if people click onto your site and they're not ready to buy yet, at least you can give them a chance to give you their email address, attract them, get them to give you their contact details. So you can run remarketing ads to get them back again, or you can send an email to them to promote your products on a separate occasion. Because in some cases, as what I've mentioned earlier, is that Facebook ads audience or users, they are more in a laid-back mode, which means that they might see that your product is interesting, but they might not be ready to buy now. Maybe they need to see your ad a few more times. Or perhaps if you send them an email and get them excited, then they would explore more of your products or learn more about it on a separate setting. The next platform I want to talk about is the Instagram ads. Instagram ads, the cost per click is higher than Facebook ads. That's roughly about 70 cents to $1 per click. Of course, assuming that you are targeting the right people, you have a good ad creative, you're writing the right copy, that's going to cost you about 70 cents to $1 per click. For certain industries, it might also cost you more because if it's more competitive, there are more of your competitors running similar ads targeting the same group of people, which means that you need to pay more. So Instagram algorithm will accept your advertising bid and show your ad instead of a competitor's ad. So you must be willing to pay more if you're in a more competitive industry like perhaps fashion or travel on Instagram itself. And if you're targeting the US market, be prepared to fork out about between $1 to $2 per click for an Instagram ad. What about running a YouTube ad? For YouTube ad, you need to run only YouTube video ads, and each ad needs to be a minimum of 12 seconds. There are different types of ad creatives, which is skippable ads or non-skippable ads, which is going to be more expensive. But for minimum, you need to have a 12-second length ad, and cost per click can range from anywhere between 10 cents to 30 cents. That's in USD. However, one thing to note is that creating a good YouTube video ad is different from creating an Instagram ad or a Facebook ad. So you might need to involve more creativity and getting a good ad. One thing to note about running a YouTube video ad is you also will need to consider your audience type. You need to target the right group of people to get the right potential customers to your store. If you are just randomly running an ad targeting nobody and you have no idea who is going to buy your product, then your ad is not going to work. Even if you get clicks, people will just be clicking on it, but they will not be interested to buy. So getting to know your audience, getting to really know who are willing to fork out money for your product is extremely critical or crucial. So you want to make sure you have a market. It's just a matter of locating this group of people, and that's going to be critical in keeping your marketing budget low. The hottest social media platform is TikTok. In 2020 and 2021, it is the most downloaded app on the App Store. And if you're targeting a younger audience group, you might want to consider TikTok. More than 50% of the demographics is less than 34 years old, and Generation Z can mostly be found there. TikTok itself is a relatively new advertising platform. You require to spend a minimum of $500 for each campaign, so there is a minimum spend, and it costs about $10 per 1,000 views. In terms of effectiveness, we are not quite sure yet because this is a growing platform. I wouldn't necessarily recommend you start running TikTok ads. However, if you grow a TikTok social media platform, organic growth for your store as well, that's going to be really powerful tool to help you grow your audience and grow your customer base. And I want to reiterate and highlight the importance of email marketing at this point is that even as you are deciding which platform to run ads on, you want to remember you need to set up an email opt-in. So even as you get those clicks to your website, even if they don't buy straight away, give them the chance to give you their contact details so you can send them an email or a message at a later point, again to remind them or to see if they'll be interested to buy at the next opportunity. Next, Google Ads. Average cost per click is between $1 to $2. The way in running those ads is slightly different from social media channels is that for Google Ads, you are targeting specific keywords. So there are two types of campaigns, which are smart campaigns. So you would broadly name a couple of keywords, and Google will help you to decide what are the keywords that is likely to get results. For the more advanced marketers, you would actually look at the keywords yourself. You do your keyword research using the AdWord Planner tool, and from there you can actually decide which are the keywords you want to be bidding for. So if someone is typing a specific keyword into Google, and then your ad would actually come up on top of all the organic results. And as I've explained earlier, people who are on search are likely to be buyers, so they would typically show a higher propensity to buy. And that's why the cost is higher, but also in this case, the conversion could be higher if you're actually targeting the right keywords. So your keyword research is extremely important. However, keep in mind that this $1 to $2 range is just a benchmark for you to consider. If you have many different competitors, then there are more people bidding for the same keywords, so that would bring up the price of your ads as well. So do keep that in mind. What I want you to do is to kind of use these numbers. This average cost per click has a benchmark for you to do your calculation, so you know approximately how much you should be putting aside to at least run a decent enough campaign to see some results. If you're not prepared at all to fork out any money, then don't think about running ads. Because what I've discovered is that most Shopify store owners will come to me, some of them, they would say, I have no budget. And then I'm thinking, okay, I can't really help you, because not even just for running campaigns itself, like having an ad budget to run those ads, that's money that you need to be putting aside. And that's when you need to do your planning in terms of your marketing budget, your costs, how much you need to invest in before you can see those returns. And also you need to factor in the amount of time it takes to see those results. So if everything goes on successfully, you're running good campaigns, you're getting those clicks, eventually you're going to drive down the cost per click or the cost per customers. And if each customer spends more, if you can get the same customers who have bought one of your products to buy more of your products, that's also going to increase your revenue in the long run, and while keeping the cost constant. So at the start, be prepared to fork out a little bit more, because there's this exploratory phase to understand how those platforms work, how to find the right people on those platforms, how to create a good ad, how to get those clicks on those ads to click through to your store, and getting the people who are visiting your store to eventually buy your product. So there are many touch points in the process that you have to keep in mind, that it doesn't happen naturally. There are certain things that you need to put in place and you need to be prepared for to get those sales. And there's another platform you can consider, that is Bing. Over 70% of them are more than 35 years old, and over 38% of them, their household income is more than $100,000. And they're more likely to be married, older group of people, so you could also consider running Bing ads as well, which could also work for you. So these are different platform options you can consider, and do your research and then decide which are the best platforms to help your store grow. I've shared quite a number of cost per click values earlier for the different platforms, so I want to show you a summary of what's the average cost per click right here, or in this one slide. Cool, now you have those numbers on your hand. The next step you want to think about is, after watching this video, is write down who are your ideal customers, who they are, what's their age group, which platform they could be hanging out on, what are the other brands or things they're interested in. So these are the different things you want to keep in mind, because that will help you run more successful ad campaigns if you're doing that. And once you are clear who this group of ideal customers is, then you can go back to those lists of numbers. If you are planning to run ads, how much would it cost to actually run those ads? So you have a good idea how to prepare for your marketing campaigns going forward for the next 6 to 12 months. And I'll definitely highly recommend you to also draw out your middle to long-term plans so you can keep your marketing costs low. Running ad campaigns are good, however, it requires you to have deep pockets in the long run. If you're not really scaling up, then that's not something that's sustainable for you. But in terms of getting higher returns in the long run, I'll definitely highly recommend you to build up your own marketing assets, build up your email list. If you can build up your own YouTube channel or your own blog, then that's going to help you get customers in the long run at a lower cost. I hope this video was useful for you. So my goal of this video was to help you understand which are the different digital marketing platform options for you to decide how best to promote your products and get more people to know about your products and get them to become customers. And for the different advertising costs, I've presented them to you so you have a better idea on how much you need to be putting aside for to run successful ad campaigns. And if you need help with your marketing strategy, I also help Shopify store owners to craft a marketing strategy and help them to get more sales. Check out the link to my services page below in the description and pinned comments. And if you enjoyed this video and found it useful, give it a like and subscribe to my channel. And of course, turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of my future videos on how to get more customers and sales by getting on Google and YouTube page 1. I'll see you in the next video. Happy New Year. Bye.